All right. Hello, hello. Let's see. How's it going, everybody? I'm actually on the Discord live. So if you guys want to jump on mic there, please feel free. And we can just have a chat while we do this stuff, and you guys can talk for Q&A or whatever. Just give it a few minutes. All right. Hope everyone's doing well from last week. We had a fun time last week, and we're still trying to figure out a little bit of what kind of platform works best. But thought I'd give YouTube a little bit of another spin, just to make sure, see how it's going. A little bit of a mess behind me too. I got all these like little toys behind me. How's it going? I heard somebody jump in. Who's there?
Yeah, here we go.
What's up, Luke? What's up, man?
Not much.
All righty.
Where's everyone? And everyone's really confused.
Yeah, I'll figure it out sooner or later. I think we have a handful of people jumping in as we speak.
Yeah.
But let's see here.
No, I like this platform better. I mean, I like the setup we got going. It's cool.
Oh, right on, man. I'm open to any and all feedback, so anything helps. Anything helps. Here, let's.
Man, I gotta open your stream so I can see your.
Here we go.
What you're painting.
Yeah, let me know if it's going live, guys. If my screen share is live, let me know. Should be. I think I should be broadcasting. All right. Let's do this. Well, I have a topic today. I thought I'd talk about some stuff too. I wrote down a couple of thoughts that we could do while I was painting. But before I jump into the painting, I just want to share a little bit of what's been sparking some interest lately. And for some reason, I'm into these like lizards. And so I just thought they look cool, and just making a fun conceptual spin regarding, I guess, lizards, and just something to play with more narratively with composition. So I thought about some, just like probably the most generic tale, right? Just knights versus a good morning, how's it going out there? But knights versus these big lizards. So I was sketching the other day, and I just came up with a couple of sketches, and I had one in mind that I thought might be pretty fun to play around with. So I really, really quickly hatched it out here, if you guys could see it. And it's basically...
Are you, I think you're only, at least on your live stream now, I can only see Photoshop right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm sharing Photoshop. Hold on. But it should be doing everything. One moment. That doesn't make it fun. Hold on, let me just do this again then. All right, I'll just do the whole screen. All right, cool. So there you go.
Yeah, now I can see. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's odd. I'm like, I was sharing Photoshop, but it's not showing Photoshop. It's only showing the anyway. So yeah, I have all these cool lizards.
Oh wow, those are awesome.
Yeah, and I was just, after doing a little bit of research, like there's a couple of lizards that I found that were pretty interesting, and there's something called the black water monitor. That's actually what it's called. It's called the black water monitor. Yeah, and I was just like, man, they have a cool like appeal, especially with like these here, like these, and they're small. Some of them are really small. Some of them are a bit bigger, but just play around with some scale. And then I have some knights, some armor, just some things for reference for the character, and maybe some, just basic rock reference for our location. And
are you trying to combine the armor and the lizard sort of thing, or is it like a knight and then separately a lizard?
So it's the narrative sort of like this. There's just gonna be a bunch of lizards, hanging out in the back, and we're just being protected by this super brave knight, and or somebody who it is. I don't know if it's a knight or just a guy with a bunch of armor and medieval equipment, but here we go. Let's jump into it. What's up, Tony? How's it going? Hope everybody is well. We are Wednesday, June 4th. And so cheers to everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. And let's have a good talk. let's do some art and chatting, you know. What up, Igor? Guys, if you can, jump on the Discord live channel. Get on mic if you can. We can talk through there. Alrighty. So this is kind of the way I like to sketch it, at least for here. What's up, Diptorog? I hope I'm like butchering names. And so here, I kind of like sketch on like a couple of different layers just to help me out. I'll start with the background, set a camera. I put the main character in front right here. And then I'll have the lizards here. And I was thinking about like a giant lizard. Like, oh, it'd be cool if it was just giant. But then I think that was kind of like it's kind of like very generic. like this isn't generic anyway. But I wanted to actually just see if like, oh man, what if there's like just a lot of pretty decently sized ones, you know, just a lot of them, right? So, and then I saw this picture over here, the picture on the upper left of the screen. You see the green and the browns and the tans and the dark browns and some blacks, and I thought that was just really cool. So I'm gonna try to use that palette and somehow fit it into this painting using these references for location and night design and lizard design. So here we go. Let's try it out. Anyway, yeah. Let's see.
Have you seen Komodo dragon?
Oh, dude, Komodo dragons are so awesome.
Yeah, like these look like very much like them.
Yeah, cool. I think one of the photo is Komodo, like the one on the tree trunk over here. But I think the ones on this, like, they're like really long and they're kind of like creepy looking, especially because they're just like black, you know. Yeah, but let's see. Let's talk what's going on for the week. Well, all my classes. Well, I have 2 classes in full swing right now. I have like an environment design class that's in full swing. We're like in week 3, and a portfolio development class. But I have we have flash classes coming up pretty soon, which are like a 5-week, kind of more quicker turnaround, but demo intensive type of experience. I have like a speed painting class, which is like mostly like photo bashing, and a what was it? Photo bash? Oh, and a just like kind of like a painting class, just digital painting, you know, doing studies, brushes, brush economy, just kind of being comfortable with the paintbrush and stuff. But other than that, I saw Lilo and Stitch. Have you guys seen that new Lilo and Stitch movie?
Oh, it came out?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Did you like it?
Oh, yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm like a huge fan of the first one, you know, kind of like grew up on it a bit. And so when the new one was coming out, I was like, oh, man, it'd be really cool to take my son to go watch it. So. All right.
I also I was around when I was a kid, so.
Oh, nice. Nice. Wow, look how vibrant that color is. Holy cow. It's like fluorescent. It just looks like green on the other one with the lizard, but over here it feels like fluorescent. It's pretty cool. So I'm playing around with some of the color theory nowadays, and it's like I'm trying to start with a really strong initial sky tone on some of the. If you guys follow like any of my other paintings, which are like a painting series, which is the it's like a bunch of whales, like flying whales in the background, and I'm trying to really explore color in that sensibility, you know, with those paintings, and it's like a personal focus, when it comes to doing some of the personal work, you know. So I'm not just like just doing I'm not just doing art for the sake of just doing it. I have an actual focus of what I want to do to like what I want to focus on to get better, you know. But with that in mind,
practicing sense.
yeah, absolutely, man. Because you know, we want to always get better, right? Anyway, so I was talking about I was thinking earlier about just some like topics that we could maybe talk about, just to kill in some dead space while we're conversing. But the topic that I thought about, which I thought might have been really cool, was what art school doesn't prepare you for the actual industry, right? What does an art school actually does not prepare you for? Because there's quite a awakening that happens when you're in the when you're a student, whether you're at a university, art college, or you're learning a la carte on your own, doesn't matter. There's a huge disconnect, I'm sure, from what we're learning in class versus what the experience is when you're actually working in the industry, you know. So that'll be our topic. So I thought
I'm curious to hear what you think too, because I'm sure that there are just so many different schools, so a lot of people are going to have very different experiences.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, because you know, one of the topics that we can just like first run into really quickly is just like art. So when we're taking concept art classes, right? We learn a lot of techniques. You know, we learn a lot of techniques, and oftentimes those techniques are, you know, the things that we might learn in a demo, or they're techniques that we might have just started to use, and so they might be a little bit newer, you know, in terms of how much experience we have with it. And so I think it's kind of crucial to like remember that when you know, we're taking classes and we're like learning techniques, and we're like, let's say it's like world building, and you're learning how to paint, you're learning how to do color and lighting and designing at the same time. That's like learning the techniques, right? It's like we're learning it. But there's also another part when we're working on the job and we have to rely on those techniques to actually do the job now. Are we comfortable? You know, are we really comfortable enough to like pull the trigger, do the things that are like, okay, you know, I know how to start this assignment. You know, someone gives you a task, because I remember the day I started my first job. Okay, and I got my first assignment, right? And I'm like, they're like, so it was at an ad agency, and I had this assignment to come up with poster ideas for like a zombie game, not poster ideas, but like game cover, package cover ideas for a zombie apocalypse game, you know, like where you swim with a bat, you're just like killing zombies and stuff, you know, that kind of thing. And what ended up happening was like they basically just give you this paper, right? They give you a paper, and they're telling me, hey James, go to this folder in the server, and you'll find your name, and there you'll open up this document, and it'll read through it. It'll talk about what your assignment is, right? I'm like, okay. So I go to my computer, and it's like a Mac, and like I don't know how to use Macs at all. I'm like a PC guy, right? And it's like a Mac over there. I'm like, oh crap, dude. so I'm like learning how to do that, and then I go to the folder and I'm trying to open it up. I find my name, I find this, and I'm reading it, and it goes, okay, now look over here into this folder where the photos are, the photo reference that you have to use. So it's like piecing all this stuff together, you know? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is like, there's like when do I actually do the assignment? You know what I mean? And so there's so much going on, and the paper says, you know, come up with 3 comps showing this idea. You know, it's like a empty shopping mall or something, and basically come up with by the end of the day like 3 ideas, and I was like, oh my gosh, like because I was on the spot and it was in a way that I wasn't used to getting the information delivered to me, like where it's like as a teacher they just go, oh, and I could ask a question very casually, right? But here it's like, here, open this folder, read this document, like here's your assignment, and I was like, it was so different for me. I was like, oh man, so like I didn't know how to actually work, I didn't really, it didn't really dawn on me like how to navigate that kind of space, if that makes sense,
Like the little logistics side of it all?
Yeah, just the logistics side, and just, it's kind of weird sometimes. It's like, you might know how to play basketball in your court, but once you go to another court, it's like you can't play as well. You know what I mean? And that kind of happened when I first started my working, is like, especially with a different type of computer and all this kind of stuff. Oh man, so techniques kind of went out the window. Like I needed to have a good process, like
I was just about to ask that about the whole design process and building that, because I think you mentioned it a few weeks ago. It seems so important.
It's important. It's absolutely like crucial to have a process in which you kind of rely on how to solve problems in how you do concepts, how you what techniques are first, second, and third. Not just like, oh, I sketch and I kind of paint, but no, I do this type of drawing, then I do this type of value exploration, and I do this type of, so it's much more systematic in a sense. I wouldn't say systematic. It's well, yeah, it is more systematic. It's a lot more has a process. Yeah, that's what I should say. Right. Back to the keyword. There's a process,
Yeah. By the way, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other people in this chat.
Oh, nice.
You guys better say something.
Get on mic, guys. Get our guys and gals, whoever's there. Get on mic. Just say hi.
Hi again. Hey, James.
Hey, how's it going? Oh man, good. Hope everyone had a good week. So I'm just painting this background. It's like I don't even know. It's kind of weird. I have this thought about this weird land. Gosh, I hate calling it weird because that's such an ambiguous word. It's a landscape where there's a bunch of cubed stones. Yeah, I'll just say that. There's a bunch of cubed stones. And like some of them create little towers, some of them are toppled over, but yeah, there's just a lot of that happening right now. So let me just kind of start working this through. Well, yeah, so what else is going on in everyone's world? What's happening? It's the sigh of not much.
Sorry.
No, I mean that's an answer, honestly. Like,
No, that was reaching back. Didn't mean that.
That was actually super awesome, man. That was freaking hilarious.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh man.
I don't have anything to say this week. I've been. I actually didn't draw today. I did some other financial stuff, so I got nothing.
That's cool. That's cool. Oh man, that was like
trying to do time management for me. So trying to go to the gym a little bit more.
Nice.
And then, okay, here's one for you, James. When you were in school or starting off.
Yeah.
When you wake up, do you feel the need to draw first, or like work out first, or like I was curious, like I know this is irrelevant, but just time management, curiosity of, all right, do I put all my initial early brain power into drawing and then go to gym like in the evening, or do you do? I don't know. Just there you go.
Yeah, I try to knock out physical stuff. So the way I like to do art is I like to work for a long time, but in very short spurts. I'm a often break taker. An often break taker. I take off breaks often. So every 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I stand up and I'm just doing something for about 10 minutes, and I come back.
Yeah, same.
I like that frequency. So when I'm doing something at the table in front of my computer, I get kind of intense. Like for that 45 minutes, I'm kind of intense and I'll take a break. So I kind of like to have it where in the morning I try to knock out all the have to do's, all the have to do's, the emails, the this and that, the catching up with this, and notes, any workings, exercise, and then so I try to do that as efficiently and quickly as possible, so that I can just like chill and then do art stuff. You know what I mean? Like have that
So
different
you said,
pace.
is that like first 2 hours for you? Like, let's just example, wake up at 7 to 9. I mean, it's not perfect, but I'm just trying to understand. Because I'm in similar, for about 15-minute time blocks.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking, wake up, breakfast, stretch, 2 time blocks, 50 minutes for art, personally. And then, like, I assume what you're saying, emails and stuff is like hour and a half of everything you just said. And then you get to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then work for maybe 4 hours. I don't know. 5 hours.
Yeah, it fluctuates. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you're in the similar regard, and like I don't know, if you go to the gym, you could be doing other things. You have kids and wives and stuff like wives. Well, I was thinking that same thing. I think Jama, somebody, he like swims at lunchtime. Wakes up his day like that, and then in the afternoon, I assume you have a block if you need it. So to do like rendering work or something, progress.
Yeah.
That was my idea.
Yeah, because my schedule has always been a freelancer's like mindset. So I fluctuate based on needs,
Right.
And
yes, you work in blocks instead of strict routine. Okay.
Yeah, because I've never had like a 9 to 5 routine. So it's never been like nothing's ever been longer than a few months in terms of like the way my schedule is kind of balanced out. And then when I kind of started opening, or not opening, but doing a little bit more of my own sort of company, like business and operation and that sort of thing, it was a lot different. It was much different. And so I was it was like working on your own company, there's just like so much more time involved than anything else, so
yes.
It's definitely not like all roses.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I mean, you're thank you.
So that's cool.
What I wanted to hear, which is good. How about
sorry about that.
That's it. I'll let somebody else talk.
Oh yeah,
I was just actually gonna say, Ryan, to your point that James brought up earlier, what are the things that school, a lot of art schools don't teach you? And I think the question that you just asked is honestly probably one of those things, and just talking about the the mental, emotional process and your routine and all the logistics that come with actually doing the art. How do you sort of manage that? But it's a good answer. So, thank you.
Yeah, what was also like pretty challenging when it came to doing the first job, like the first getting ramped up, getting up to speed and just kind of understanding what's going on with the whole system and stuff. It takes a little bit of time, and obviously the companies that you would work for give you that allowance, to ramp up. They don't expect you to just like understand everything right away and be, super on top of it all. But man, especially if there's wanting to do more freelance work or work in film or these other industries in which there isn't actually any room for any like ramp up. It's just kind of just like deliver.
You jump in the fire. Yeah.
So then it's all about system, because if you think about it, every single piece of art that you create is going to be for the first time, especially for production. Like, so it's like, it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, absolutely, to have a reliable process in which you can basically deliver high-end problem-solving artwork on things that you've never done before. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of we have a very interesting industry that we're focused into.
I gotta write that down. Man, to deliver
it's high pressure.
problem-solving artwork. That's awesome.
High pressure, but the way around that is structure.
Yeah.
So, James,
what's
when
up?
you were working, did you were you the type to do like one for freelancing? To do like one update or two updates? Some people are like, oh, I do a 8 a.m. Update with my client and then a 4 p.m. update with my client. That just sounds like.
So
I don't know.
My personal approach to that is actually I just ask what the client wants and I update based on that. Updating for me doesn't mean like gosh, how do I say this?
X.
It's no. There's like when you're doing concept art, sometimes like you don't solve linear fashion, right? Like you don't solve like one problem done, another problem done, each amount of time,
right.
Same amount of time. It's not like that. Like it takes amount of time, and then you go, and then like you kind of solve a bunch of stuff at once, and so when I do updates, like I try to structure it where. I deliver it based on how much they request. It has to there's a lot of exploration that kind of has to obviously go down, but it's kind of fun. I love that type of work. So I would rather just figure it out based on like oh what do you like, how often do you guys want to see updates? So I'll just ask them that kind of thing. Because there's like I've had it where I've actually shot myself in the foot one time where I'm like, yeah, do you want to see like updates like every day? And they're like, sure. We're just gonna ask for like once, twice a week, but yeah, why not? I'm like, damn it.
Right? Yeah, let them.
Yeah.
Put the precedent, and then you surprise them. Or whatever.
Yeah. And obviously when you work in house or you're working with an art director in studio, blah 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 blah. There's a conversation, so you can ask, and oftentimes like I think in studio there's not like such rigid deadlines where it's like, okay, this we need done by this day all the time, unless there's like a certain
longer from I understand roughly. Generally.
Yeah. But freelance.
Did you like working in studio at all, or did you freelance?
Oh, so my background is that I've worked mostly freelance, and then I just did my own studio, and then I worked a lot with just game dev, movies, theme parks, on various degrees of just like whatever a vendor can supply.
It scares me, the idea of working in house. I'm just the too many noises.
What does that mean? What do you mean by too many noises?
So when you have an ADHD or autistic, roughly, that's the spectrum. Like being in a room with other people and being able to hear, like what they're saying, or even if I have like sometimes I like to draw in complete silence. I'll ask you another time.
Gotcha.
Also, another stream is what to look out for in bad clients.
Dude, you know what? What that is?
Another question.
That's
Just do
almost
that another time.
that's almost a question where it's like there's
You know what I meant? Like maybe some rule sets, something to think about, and ask you.
absolutely, man. That's actually a great question.
And for
Great question. I'm gonna write that down.
anyways, oh yeah, but like I know working in studio, like I don't work professionally. I'm still like uber newbie. I'm still like you guys were saying when I first came in. Sorry, I'm over talking you guys and taking this. It's process. I'm literally trying to figure out my process of just like for every piece, and almost like anal retentive. Because I think that's what's currently holding me back is that I see something in my head, just amateurish, and I want to do some cool sci-fi indoor, generally interior design of something like a film shot, but I don't know how to render it, and so I just know I need to break it down and have a process, and just repeat that until I have at least one of those strategies in the playbook before I expand the playbook. There you go. So
good thoughts, man. That's cool. Keep that thought process up. All right, let's work on this character. Hold on. Let me lay this guy in real quick. So, all right. What else should we talk about now?
I got a question.
Yes, go for it, please.
That's how I phrase it. Speaking about the, what call it the design process. This thing you keep talking about that is really important. How long do you think it took you, or did you ever? How long did it take you to feel comfortable in the process that you developed, or did you never really stop feeling some level of sort of uncomfortability, and maybe that just comes with the job? But was there a certain topic you worked on where you started it and you were pretty smooth the whole way through, and were like, this is what it's supposed to feel like?
That's a good question, dude. Okay, so I remember exactly when there were certain big breakthroughs. When it comes to a process means that it's many small parts connecting together. You know what I mean? That's basically a process, right? And in order to know the process, it's kind of like playing a video game. When we play a video game, now imagine back in the day when you couldn't save a video game, right? You couldn't save your progress in a game. You had to start from level 1 every time you started the game, right? And that's kind of how it was back in the day, right? And what ends up happening when you do that is that you get really good at level 1 because you do it so many times in repetition. Where at one point level 1 was pretty difficult, but then after getting to level 5, 6, 7 over and over again, when you play the game, level 1 is just like, it's a formality. It's like I just want to get past it, right? And so that's what ends up happening with some of the techniques that we learn. Like perspective was so challenging for me. Oh my gosh, I hated perspective. But later on, it became just like, it's like learning math. Okay, like I kind of know it now. Let me go to the next one. And then now when we're talking about color theory and and composition and all these other things, the basics that we're just talking about are not as daunting anymore. You know what I mean? So those were some of the things that I thought was like really crucial. So when I started working in the industry, I thought what was a decent process, but it wasn't anything reliable. And a process that's not reliable is just bogus. There's no reason for it then. Then otherwise you're just kind of doing whatever you want in basic terms. So
is that a quote? You might say, "Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth."
Yeah. And there's
a reality.
There's a Navy SEAL saying that's like, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. There's like these sayings that are very, that I guess in my ears they kind of resonate. So I had this one job I remember where I got this freelance job and they're like, we need 30 environments in 30 days. We need 30 environment paintings in 30 days. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds crazy. And then we talked through the budget and I was like, wow, that's a lot of environments, but I'm up for the challenge, right? And I remember doing this and I was like, what? This is insane. How am I going to do? That means one environment a day, actually a little bit more, because we're not counting weekends. And it was just like, I remember getting the first one and it took me 3 days to do the first one. And I'm like, I'm already behind on the first one.
The third one, yeah.
Yeah, like, what the heck? How come I already be behind, But what ended up happening is you start to figure out what doesn't, you figure out exactly what's needed to like do these pieces, and then you really, really create your process because it's under distress. It's under pressure, right?
Under time restraint.
Yes, and you don't know really how fast you can run until someone's really telling you to run and timing you, and you have these markers that you kind of have to accomplish. And I remember that was one of them. That was one of them. And then I had this one client. Fast forward a couple of years, like many, many years later.
10 years in. So this is like 10 years into working, let's say.
Yeah, I would say. And there was now like another client, and they're like, oh, we like a lot of photo bashing, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. So all the work that they wanted was photo bash. So I got really good at that kind of particular technique, So there are these moments where sometimes it's created by your clients or the job that you do, because you're forced to do that like over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? Or you're forced to use like a certain style, or genre, but you get really good at it. That's the thing is like oftentimes in school, we'll do 1, 2, 3 pieces on a certain genre and then class it up. But imagine doing a certain genre for like 6 years. You're going to be like, you're going to know that genre so well. It's not even going to be funny, right? So, yeah. Oh, man. It's funny. All right, let's design this sucker. Let me get some darks.
That's the thing that appeals to me about this is kind of like, it's almost kind of like journalism, that each week you kind of become an expert in a new subject.
Right.
Maybe not to that extent, but it's a visual, and like it's basically your entire job. Like, because James, did you finish all 4 years of college, or did you drop out and go start working after like year 3?
Oh, so yeah, I mean, art. I did. I went to art center, but it's kind of it's not a 4-year. It's a university setting, I guess you could say, like a 3-year program or something. But yeah, I graduated all the way.
Okay, so you finished school.
Yeah.
Okay, I already forgot where I was going with this. Oh, that you basically become an expert in in a new topic every time. So your job is to learn constantly, and then just constantly spew out, endless variations. Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. Cool. Like that's what really drew me to have an interest in kind of industrial design, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. My particular background. Wait, hold on. There's a question over here. James, how long have you been wanting to communicate with your fellow artists? I like the idea myself because it helps brighten up the day a little bit. How long have you been wanting to communicate with your? I guess all the time. I don't know.
Well, let them know, James. You do run a studio.
Yeah,
school.
Yeah. So
they may not know that.
Yeah, a bit of my background, if you guys aren't familiar. So I run a small studio called Scribblepad Studios, and we are a vendor for concept art for games and film, a little bit of animation and theme parks, as well as I'm a co-founder of a school called Brainstorm School. And so my particular, I guess, like personality is I always like to be in a community or like try to just gather. You know, it's always been in my person. If you talk to people that have known me for a long time, it's like, yeah, that's just how he is. Like he, you know. So it's kind of a fun thing. But gosh, how long? I guess forever. This is kind of like my persona. Like I like to share. Even in art center, we had different types of individuals that would be either very open to sharing what they know and the techniques that they have and the brushes that they had and stuff like that. And then you have people that were like, nope, like, nope, like, I'm not going to share. You know what I mean? So
that's working for me. I'm not sharing it so I don't have to buy new stuff.
And so I've always been the open type. Always have, always will. So that's kind of just like, yeah, kind of how it's been, you know.
What is his name?
Oh yeah, I think geographically also it could be challenging. However, you know, luckily there's a lot of online presence now, right? So hopefully there's a way to keep that whole communication line going and having some goodness to that, you know. So now you have hopefully a place to communicate, man.
James.
Yes.
I didn't know if you knew this. So you stream on Wednesdays at this time, and Dave Raposa streams on Thursdays this time.
Oh,
He's
cool.
been doing it for a couple of years. So
right on.
You're literally like, it's literally just you two that are like active pros that right now, you know, do something. There's a couple others, but just if you didn't know.
Oh, right on, man.
On Thursday.
That's cool.
For about an hour. Yeah.
Right on. That's cool to know. Oh man.
If you never talked to him.
Yeah, a fan. I'm such a fan of his work. Oh, let's see how this is looking. I'm just trying to create like a good graphic design. I'm like looking at that character with the very bright white blouse. But we'll see. We'll see how this is gonna go. Kind of just created dark accents.
Are they natural formations or
what's that?
Man-made. Are your natural cube formations man-made or natural?
That is the mystery. I don't know.
Yeah. I was like, I envisioned ancient pyramidal something.
Yeah, it's part of the mystery and fantasy of this wonderful location. So, all right. I think when I do these paintings though, it's one of those things where I enjoy when a brush stroke kind of looks good, you know. Not just describe something, but there's like a calligraphy, you know, like sometimes calligraphy.
Open to interpretation.
Yeah, like calligraphy. Like sometimes you don't even know what the letter is; it just looks good. It's like, is that a G or an F? Like, oh, whatever, it just looks good, you know. So that's kind of like the mindset that I'm in right now. Like some of these brush strokes, I'm like, what is that? Is that a strap or a leather thing, a boot? Like whatever, just kind of looks nice. That's cool, you know. It's illustration, man. So let's see here. Let's see if I can do some. So I like that. I love how this looks. The sort of the fish scale armor. I love how that looks. It's such an interesting pattern for me. Just that repetition. My eye goes there.
Very large, yeah.
It's cool.
I was thinking not chainmail, scale mail.
But it has an interesting appeal, you know. So I like to layer like my painting in a way where I do the darker accents, and then underneath it I'm gonna do sort of like the armor, so like broader brush strokes. Then I'll go back on top and then probably just like tighten it up with some line again, you know. Let's see how this is working. Get a reflection on here somewhere. Ding. This looks so bright. But yes, we're on a good flow, good conversation.
How about James?
Yes.
While you are concepting,
Uh-huh.
are you music or no music?
Oh, dude, I listen to movies. I have a big library of film, and I don't like to listen to music oddly, but I love listening to soundtracks, like just listen to movies, you know? So
No, that's a difference. No. So is that so? You have like minimized like Braveheart, or do you have Braveheart soundtrack?
oh no, it's just like the movie. I watch the film. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like I'll listen to like all the dialogue and
Is there any one specific? Like some people have like a long. Some people like. Are you like 100 movies, or do you listen to like 5 movies?
You know what's funny? This is the funniest part, right? So I'm a concept designer, and you think like, oh, it'd be like Star Wars, like listen to Star Wars all the time or whatever. But a lot of these action film, they don't have a lot of dialogue. It's just a lot of sound. It's just a lot of like sound effects and like explosion or just like music. So I actually watch film that has a lot more dialogue. So
but like, what are your picks?
So one of Departed. If you guys saw The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, really good movie. Or oddly enough, that movie 500 Days of Summer. Just like good dialogue.
Mine.
So yeah. Oh, I listened to oh man, what was the one I was watching recently? Here, I gotta focus on this. This is where like I want to make those fish scales read well.
This is something I cannot do while drawing is talk like this.
I'm like
conversation
I'm
while
like
trying to concept.
Speaking one word every 5 seconds.
It's like doing a, for you, and I give so much props to, it's like, or any other professional who can do it, teaching, like drawing while in a class and teaching in real time, and not having slides, because it's, some people, I can't multitask.
Yeah, so I had this one teacher, like my teaching style, I kind of emulated this one teacher I had, and he was doing like live demos in class, and then some of them would just be like, wouldn't come out that great, and he's like, oh man, okay, now I'm in a predicament. Why is this happening? Like I'm following this process. Why is the outcome not coming up to the standard of what we're expecting, right? And it's like most of the time people would be a little nervous, like, oh, I'm not doing the techniques to the best of my ability. But he would actually take upon his that fail forward approach and be like, okay, let's talk about this, right? Okay, you know what? I think my values are wrong. These fun, and usually when he would talk about these breakdowns, he'd be like, it's usually a fundamental thing, like the basic bottom blocks, not the top blocks, like bottom blocks, perspective, value, composition, form. Like those are the things that sometimes fumble a really complex piece, and then sometimes we would solve it, like we would fix it, and we're like, dang, that's learning, like that's cool, So I would do these demos when I would first teach, and I would totally step in some ish, dude. Like I would start sweating.
You get too stuck into like texturing or whatever.
Yeah, I would start sweating behind the computer screen. I'd be so nervous, and I'm just like, oh my god, dude, they're watching me, and like, and it was just one of those things where like eventually kind of pulled it out, but like pulled through, but gosh, I remember it was pretty intense. But yeah, I like the live demos. Those are oh man, that doesn't look good. So now I'm getting to like just like these like reflection designs. Like this is, to me, it's like all calligraphy. Like what kind of looks nice. These are like different shapes.
You're just going back to like the design principles, illustration design.
Yeah,
Mindset,
absolutely.
painterly mindset of seeing shapes instead of lines today.
That's kind of tough, you know. Yeah, absolutely. Unless we take a class from maybe somebody who's more of a classic painter that teaches digital painting, it's I don't think it's really being taught nowadays to like have that sort of philosophy oftentimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Even like squinting, or you know, just like kind of, you know, just this kind of like fundamental things that like would normally go down in a painter's like class,
right?
Like in a class,
yeah,
where you teach painting. Yeah, I would encourage anybody, if you haven't taken like a formal painting class, do it. Like, and see how much Photoshop is really just trying to emulate that, but there's so much tech, that's this tech of icing on top, that gets really tantalizing. Like it's really good to look at, you know. But oftentimes, what really controls it all is just good fundamental, you know, like these fundamentals, you know. So I would try to take a look into like stuff like that. And so like my biggest weakness, I thought, always was color. Color's always so tough. So this is my brave attempts at trying to do paintings that are just more color push, you know, that whole conversation that we were talking about earlier. Okay, where is this layer, man? Okay, boop, bop, pink, right? So this is all the armor. So it's easier to paint underneath all the blacks, right? Because it's easy. And then here's, I'm just drawing the dark accents. I like drawing in my sketchbook with like a small kind of like marker pen, like a very fine felt pen, like marker tip pen. So, and I try to draw stuff like this just based on like the shadows. You know, like I just try to draw based on shadow shapes. Because in my sketchbook, it's kind of like now it's like a direct, it's like similar. I'm using the same process of drawing in my sketchbook as it is for this stuff. All right.
What is that line? What is that technique called? It's like where you draw a line. It's like impression, like what you're doing. It's like lost line.
I am not sure. I am not sure.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
It's like you imply. No, it's just like you imply contours, and value using shapes. Sort of. That's what it's called. I was thinking this. I wonder. I assume that's probably what you do in the technique. Thank you. That's a great. I need to do more traditional, like a lost line technique sketch.
Let's see here. Let's start painting on this sucker. But anyway, so what else is going on in the art world? Let's see. See if we have some topics today. Oh, look at that arm that I didn't even paint.
What art schools would you recommend?
Well, that I would have to be a little impartial. But it depends what you want to learn.
Art schools.
Yeah, I'll try to be very just like middle point. But depends what you want to learn. I'll say that. It really depends on some of the things that you're trying to learn. So, do you have any input on that side of things?
When you mean that, can you be a little more specific?
Yeah, like are you trying to go, like what type of art are you trying to learn? Is it more game centric, animation focused?
Definitely game centric concept art.
Okay, and do you need to have, like some people need to like have a degree? You know?
I wouldn't say so, but I definitely like the structure, which is why online school isn't really an option.
Oh, it's not really an option, you're saying?
Well, it is, but also I've done online school before and I did not do well with it.
Mhm.
So
Then
that's
okay.
why I'm
And then there's like another part of that conversation where it's how much tuition is a comfortable tuition level for you.
I mean, I have quite a bit saved up.
You know, so I mean, and having a lot saved up is great. How much you want to spend is also another question. You know, so that's sort of the map. You know, every art school has a different focus, a different structure. Some of them are really reliant on like a really good instructor base, or they're like a certain focus in the industry. Like certain schools are just like killer when it comes to having the hookups for like an animation studio versus a game studio. You know, so some schools kind of like have that difference. You know, but other than that, like you know, if you're trying to go games, there's a lot. I mean, that's probably a super broad area to jump into, you know, when it comes to the schools. So you have a lot of picking, you know. Some people I know too, to be honest with you, some students that I know that can really kind of push it in this way have done like this, where they have done the foundation like at a formal, like more of a formal school, and then they did like the last parts, like you know, the portfolio. They're like more fine tuning at like a online school, you know, or like a gosh, I'll just call it kind of like an a la carte kind of learning program, you know, where you can just take individual classes and stuff, or in a mentorship, you know. So yeah, those are some of the things that at least in order to decide, I would take a look at some of those factors, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can I cut in real quick?
Sure, absolutely.
James, I'm going to be your director. Or whatever today, okay? James, if you had unlimited money, top 3 to top 5 schools or directions you would do for concept, and then so top 3 if for a high spender schools, and then do a top 3 to low spender like opinions. Do that. You didn't name one school in that whole talk.
Yeah. I was being very ambiguous. I was doing the PC route.
Okay.
Let's see. I think top dollar schools. Oh man. What are some of the options out there, guys? I know there's Art Center. There's I know Nilman has a program. They're a little expensive on the higher side too. Does LCAT
Studio?
Sin Studio? Yes, Sin Studio. There's some other I think programs that are like in different countries, like in Europe, for example, that have a like certified program. That's and that's the thing too. I would have to break it down in 2 categories for like university learning, because there's the formal universities, which are like the Art Center. What was another one?
Noman technically is one now. It's accredited.
And there's the other one, the school that like Eitan Zana and like Nick Genjo came from. Not Laguna. Something else.
Yeah, that's it. There's another one, right? It's in the same city as Art Center. It's like Laguna or something.
And so
or
there's
one of the two.
Yeah, there's like that. There's Cal Arts. They're a big one as well. So there's part of like that formal kind of like long. They've been around, long guard. You know, they've been around for quite a while. And then there's probably some of the newer ones, which are like the Sin Studios and some of the other university like colleges that are only for concept design, right? Like that's what they were meant to do, not a art school that eventually did concept, you know? So, man, some of the ones that are like the newer programs that have adopted like a program just for concept design. I think like Edge, like there's a few.
It's
New ads.
New Edge.
Yeah, like
and
New
Paris.
Edge, like the ones that are like curriculum based, like they offer the full program, you know.
2-year non-accredited, but it's still good.
And so earlier, you know, I don't know how long you were here in the chat, but earlier we were talking about how what does art school not teach you and to get ready for the industry, you know? And so one of the things is at when I was at Art Center or when I was a student, there weren't many teachers that worked in the industry. It was just not that time. You know, some schools that you might attend to take concept art classes, your instructors might not actually be actively in the field or maybe have been disconnected from the field for a little bit. So those are kind of some good things to look at, you know.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
I remember the time when I studied the basics of the concept and expanded my visual because I personally find it interesting and enjoy it.
Nice. Where are you from?
Hello. I'm from Russia.
Oh, you're from Russia. Right on. Thank you for joining, sir.
Just
I am, let's see, working on this guy's, there we go. That feels a little bit better, a little tapered. It's funny how shapes just sometimes look better doing a certain thing versus another. Shapes are funny. I was having this.
Tell your kid.
Oh, wait, what's that again?
It's so funny. I was just making a stupid joke.
Oh, shapes
Is that
are.
what you tell your kids?
Yeah, man. So my son right now, he's like a blast, dude. He's so much fun. So when he comes in and he sees what I'm painting, he's like, "Oh my God, what is that? What are you painting?" And he'll try to draw it. And so he'll draw it with like basic shapes. It's so funny. Like he'll go out, if he saw this, he'll go out and try to draw it on the table. I'll come out and it's like, "What do you see in here?" You kind of see like 2 sticks. Like he doesn't know what he's looking at, but he'll know there's 2 long things on the sides, and there's like we know it's a cube, but to him it's a triangle, right? So he'll draw that. It's so funny. It's like shapes, man. All right, let's go. I need to eventually, I'm slowly chugging away, right? It's slowly getting there. Like solving things, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, figuring it all out. Yeah, and this brush pack is fun. There's just a lot of different brushes that kind of just do different things, but the same thing. So it's fun to mix up the brush strokes because it keeps it interesting, you know? Like especially for illustration, like painting. There's this philosophy that talks about like brush strokes, you know, and how it's like a penmanship, you know? It's describing what you're looking at, but there's also a stylization to some of the brushstrokes, and you see that in like a line decker. You see it in certain painters, you know, like line decker really pushes brushstrokes in a certain way, but it's fun to do that.
You said line decker.
Mm-hmm. JC line decker, yes.
I like Cornwall better.
Oh, Cornwell, yes, Dean Cornwell. I mean. There's
his teacher, the guy that
dude,
like no art anywhere of.
This one time, I was kind of like, at this one girl's house. No, not her house, but like her grandpa's house or something. We're like picking something up. I was like looking at the wall, and then I saw it was a Dean Cornwell painting, and I was like, "Oh, that's a cool print." And she's like, "No, that's a real Dean Cornwell." And I was like, "Holy F!" I was like, "Dude, do you know how much that's worth?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Wow, this is insane. And I was, I was an art center student at that time, and I just went to freaking town, man. I was just like, oh my gosh, that was cool.
Superstar.
Yeah.
Eyeballs.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Oh, my grandfather was my great grandfather was wealthy on my dad's side, but his son kind of like blew it all.
Okay.
But one of the things my grandfather, the guy who blew it all, he bought was N.C. Escher, blueprints. Some of those. So same thing. It's like he had the original, like the actual original ones. I thought was funny. But that was one of my early first artists was N.C. Escher.
Wow. I think everybody has a first time they saw Escher and was just like, whoa, I didn't know art could do that. Remember, I thought that. I was like, how does somebody bend my mind?
For me, that was Denis Cetizan.
Wait, am I? I don't know who that is, maybe.
I'm American. I don't have transform names. I'll just find his portfolio.
What was the name?
I believe it's pronounced Denis Cetizan. Or Cetizan. It's spelled Dennis.
Maybe some of you are like me, but I am so bad with names, like auditory. I'm so much better with visual. Yeah, like I'm so much better with memorizing with my eyes versus memorizing through my ears.
I can't pronounce it. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I see it as I'm saying it's James. I don't ever hear it when I read it. I just see it as a visual.
Yep. Oh no.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Let's do some little details. I think I'm getting wrapped up on this dude over here. Gonna put some little details of some stuffs.
Some stuff.
Yep, exactly. The stuff is stuffs. All right, let's see. Wait, I'm getting like a repeat. What's going on? All right, maybe I'm good now. Oddly, this kind of looks like his visor opening. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, that's a cool artist, Denis Cetizan person. That's mine. What was your very first art book, anybody? When was that? Epic designer.
Monster Hunter.
Oh, such an epic book, right? I remember.
No. I mean like a
classic art book.
I think like a photography book, but for art. Does that make sense? Like mine was graphic design. Maybe I guess that's what it is. It would just been. Maybe you're right. I'm being too retentive.
I remember one of the first expensive books that I really wanted to buy though was a Sid Mead book.
Yeah. Did you get one of his originals?
I wish. Oh my gosh, I wish.
I was sad that he died.
Yeah, and my friend, I don't know if you guys know the artist Stephen Messing, but he's a fantastic concept artist, brilliant matte painter, worked on Avatar. He's like Dylan Cole, like right-hand guy kind of guy. And he owns original John Berkey's, dude.
Does he?
Yeah. I was like, oh my god. And it was like right before his passing, actually. So it was like crazy, man. I was like, dude, let me come over right now. I got to see those with my eyes.
Have you ever done studies of them? I've actually thought about doing it.
Yeah.
If they were in gouache, I think.
Yeah, either gouache or acrylic, one of the two. But they're just so, like...
I'm pretty sure it was gouache.
Like, they're actually not that challenging to do a study, like a quick interpretation, but to actually try to do a copy where you almost like mimic the brushes. Woo!
The brush
Forget about it, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's like a calligraphy that guy has that's just like, oh my god. So much learning can happen there. It's amazing. So much learning. All right, let me give this guy some anonymous, not anonymous, what am I trying to say? Just like random gear, random Random
John
things.
Berkey's Splash.
Dude, John Berkey is a huge influence. Do you guys know John Harris? John Berkey and John Harris, another sci-fi
Yeah, I got to see John
Painter.
Harris last year, Concept 101.
He's awesome.
It was amazing and so weird. That was one of the weirdest talks I've ever been to in a wonderful way. He described a lot of his work, and I mean, his paintings are just unbelievable, and they're, I don't use this word lightly or often, but I feel like the word cerebral is very, like an acute description of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go on, I mean, maybe I can send it in a minute or two, but he would go on to describe his paintings. And the paintings he would talk for 10 minutes.
A fine artist.
Or more than
You're
that.
talking like a fine artist with a blank canvas with a red dot on it, but it actually looked like John. Yeah, that's like fine art.
Yeah, he would talk for a long time about his work, and the story behind and the worlds that he would describe throughout these paintings would seemingly have like almost you would never know it. It had nothing to do with the painting. It's so weird. But it was amazing to really see the level of depth that he was working at. I'll put you know what, I'll send one, and then I'll try to see if I can.
You know what's funny,
the way
man?
he was doing it.
You remind me of this one experience that I had. So in my first term at Art Center, we had this one class called Design 1, I believe. And it was one of these classes where I've never taken a design class where a class force you to type of think, like to think versus execute art, So there was this
bullshit.
Kinda, yeah. You can kind of explain your way through it, and if you can make it sound cool, like in the right way, then you kind of get a good grade, And then I just remember hearing some of the explanations, and then I'm just like, dude, that is like some total BS, right? And then, but the teacher's like, that is awesome, That is. How did you think of that? I'm just like, oh my gosh, you guys drink something weird in your coffee today,
That is, that's a little bit how it felt. Like, so I sent one of the paintings, and this is the one that I distinctly remember him talking about. And you look at the painting, it is amazing. It's and I'm not saying this in a bad way at all, but he would talk about these things and go into the details. Like, for example, with this painting, he talks about how at the bottom of these chasms that you can see at it, they're completely filled with lava, and somehow that has influenced this whole society to the point where like this person, the clothes they're wearing, and that structure in the back is made from like the sort of like rock, but like you would never know that just looking at the painting on your own, and it was really interesting. He really went to a level of depth that I think you don't see a lot of places. It was great. He had a great quote, actually, a lot of performance, but that went along with a lot of the paintings, and it was that fear is often accompanied by a sense of falling. And now, having gone back to look at his work, it's like you can see that in everything he does, and it's really cool. So,
interesting. That's interesting. That's cool.
My PTSD moment experience of that nature of a fine artist was in high school. I think I was a junior in high school. And in Texas, there's an annual rodeo art competition. And the winner gets a $100,000 free scholarship to anywhere.
Dang.
And the winner of the year that I graduated, it was the canvas was like 6 feet tall and like 5 feet wide. And it had a red dot in the middle of it. Like a pinpoint red dot. And the person won because they had some super story, and they won because of that.
Wow.
That was like that's my, so I can, I was bad mouthing, fine artists, but I give them respect because they definitely make their careers off, They do it better than I can, but yeah,
I mean,
that was
there's-
my PTSD.
yeah. There's definitely the legitimate, and then there's the, banana taped on the wall for $30 million, right? There's like that, So, yeah, absolutely, man. All right. Well, we get the.
Concept art, but was like a fine art book. I have one that's pottery, and I have one that's of Lauren Marks, and I think that answers the question. That it's not like a concept art book, but like a artist book.
Yeah.
Let's paint these dark tones. Oh man, you can see the lizard reference. So yeah, I guess the palette from the green is just kind of controlling everything, and just making the decisions. It's almost monochromatic, in a sense, with just like a little bit of a warm in the shadows. But so far, it's been a fun painting. Going pretty smooth. I'm gonna look at these lizards and just look at the shadows. Like there's such. When I squint my eyes, I look at this guy with the leaf behind him. It's such a cool graphic. Like there's such cool graphic anatomy happening in all this, like the folds and just like how the arm, you can see the arm a bit, It's just really interesting. I love that.
How much longer are you gonna go for, James?
I don't know, as long as it takes to kind of wrap up these little dudes, So it's probably gonna be like 20 more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. 20 more minutes.
Comfy atmosphere here.
What's that again? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't understand.
Comfy. I said comfy atmosphere is here.
All right, let's start rendering. Not even rendering, just giving some indication. This unfortunate lizard has a very unfortunate hand situation going on here. Hold on, let me figure this guy out.
T-Rex.
Yeah, he's like doesn't want to pay the bill. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Oh man, that's not right either. Hold on. So this is where it's like, okay, let me pay attention to the anatomy here a little bit. Alrighty. Well, what is any man? There's nothing really interesting on the horizon, huh? Do you guys watch all the Love, Death, Robot episodes by any chance?
I still have not watched any of those. I look at them every time.
It's funny, but there's not like a lot of hype. Like normally I would hear dude, this episode's really cool, like just like the hype noise around it. But I don't know. Just haven't really heard too much. All right, let me switch over to lights. Darks and lights. Kind of hit that nice mid-tone and then just hit the lights. Doink. Wait, where am I? Down here. All right, let's go. See if I can get a little bit of, try to find that right tone that I'm looking for. Here we go.
I'm with you though that I can't listen to music while like concepting or really drawing. I usually turn on like TV shows. My recent one, it's kind of irrelevant, but it's like the One Piece anime because they have like 1,100 episodes, and there's not really a lot going. Like, it's more just like jokes or just stupid commentary.
That's cool. That's cool.
We were talking about like playlists of like what do you listen to while drawing. And
yeah.
James was saying earlier he just turns on the whole movie playlist. Some of mine were like Euro Trip, Archer.
I love Euro Trip, man.
I watch that literally like all the time because it's very toxic. Be forewarned, it's extremely toxic, but it's literally like just jokes.
Yeah, it's when humor had a little bit more of a better backbone, I guess. People in humor. But that movie cracks me up. There's some lines in that movie that I still say today.
Archer TV series. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, Archer.
That's
Yeah,
what I
let me
was
get
referring
this.
to.
Get
Oh,
this.
and Eurotrip. Did I say that? Is that
Yeah. You said Eurotrip.
Yeah. Used to go to sleep to that one.
I remember during art center days, or when I would do a lot of homework, that's when I would watch a lot of movies. I would just turn on like DVDs or something. There was nothing streaming at that time, just like a bunch of DVDs. And then I would just have it play over and over and over because I got too lazy to like get up and change the disc, and I'm just like painting. And so I would listen to the same movie like Rush Hour. I like listened to that movie like 20 times during the term,
The first one?
Yeah. Or like Black Hawk Down, or like, what would it be? Like Lord of the Rings, the first one, the
no.
Wildly different movies. Rush Hour and then Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, it was because it's that time frame. Those are the movies that were just like out on DVD at that time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. It was just kind of funny that way,
Yeah.
I know they're vastly different, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, hey, let me see here. Let me get back onto the sucker. Okay. Oh,
We'll still
man.
do that today, yeah.
So, other than that, shoot. Oh, I'm gonna be doing a workshop in Malaysia. So I don't know if any of you guys are in the Malaysia area, but if you guys are there, there's
they got the red logo and everything.
Yeah, digital. They're called Digital Blacksmith. They're also another educational kind of platform in Malaysia. But there's a gentleman that I've been kind of corresponding with, and we've been talking about, like, we just have the same vision of stuff. He's a friend, and we just thought like, hey man, it'd be really cool if we did this. So we're like, let's do it. Let's go. So we're gonna do this awesome workshop out there. But if you're in that area, I don't know. Take a look. See what it's all about. Post some news about it, but
Yeah, that was awesome. I remember when they had announced their collaboration, and they were like, I think they had gotten people to like vote on like who they wanted to come down. Or, like you were on the list, and Kason was on the list, and like 10 or 12 other people. So that's cool that you're going down. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. And so this industry has kind of, I wouldn't say this industry, but the craft that we are, God, I should think about what I'm trying to say before I say it. But the craft that we learn to do the type of profession, all of those things have a really interesting way of like, having a career or a monetization or a way to, really have a great experience. So, for example, like teaching, right? That's obviously one of those things where a lot of artists do. But for some people, you can actually like travel. You can travel around the world and do workshops. If you really get to that level where people are like trying to kind of seek the understandings that you kind of have, and you can express it in a certain way. The thing is, a lot of people don't know this about me, but in the past, I used to do like a lot of martial arts growing up, like a lot of taekwondo and judo, and I used to teach it when I was like pretty young, So like I would teach a lot. I had very influential instructors who were like such great teachers, so I learned from them. It was just like there's like an amalgamation, right? Like a combination of all your experiences that eventually lead down to the things that you do, as an adult, so being like, even just doing the stuff that I do now is all part of that, Squint my eye down.
When did you get your black belt in Taekwondo?
Where?
What age? What age?
Oh, I was probably like 13. I started when I was like 6 years old or something. I did it for a really long time, like close to.
I beat you.
Close to like close to, let's see, maybe like 13 years or so. And then
Wow.
I was trying to do like go to the Olympics. Like my goal was actually to try to go to the Olympics one day, and I was like super competitive. And anyway, but like so
Jealous. Yeah.
yeah, it was one of those things too where like through doing martial arts, I actually got to meet some world champions. Like if you go to like a lot of tournaments, eventually like you'll meet people, and then you'll see like who's the best, like who's the best, really the best, you know? And then
Yeah.
you're like, whoa, that person's the best. And then you'll just see like, you know, and then maybe like become friends with them over time or whatever. We just see like this level of dedication that you're just like, whoa, I haven't seen that before. That's pretty cool, you know? So
Yeah, it teaches you a mindset and an age. I agree. Martial arts is really good. That's what I had to. I had to stop early for like parents and financial reasons. But
yeah, I understand what you mean.
yeah, I did the. I beat you. I got my black belt at. It was like 10.
Oh, right on.
I was teaching classes, and I had to stop because couldn't find an instructor that I didn't catch up to. So yeah, I agree though. Those were awesome. Back in the day when Taekwondo was it the international? That's when they started releasing videos and stuff of all kick flips and.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, so what you know, everyone I think has an experience in life in which you're able to really leverage the understanding of things to like deepen what we know about like concept design or whatever it might be, you know. And one thing that I know is our field is it's not easy. It's a lot of work, right? You know. You know, people go, oh, you just do art. Like, no, man. Like, I like do UFC of art, man. Like, this is like a lot of intensity, you know. And yeah, I love that. That was perfect,
Yes,
right?
I did.
Sorry.
It's
I
like
mean, you're design.
gotta get the soundbite right there, dude. But it's kind of one of those things, especially in our particular craft, where it's there's an intensity that people have, right? And to sort of like achieve what we believe are some of those goals, it is probably more work than a lot of people anticipated this to be, you know. I've talked
I think it's also. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Please go ahead.
I think it's also how long you do it before you get any sort of compensation or recognition from it.
Ooh, good. That's a very wise statement.
Like a lot of people who I've heard, like oh my god, now I'm blanking. Well, a lot of people who have talked about it, like, oh yeah, I did like 5, 6, 7, 10 years of art before I got like anywhere in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it was hard because you have to constantly keep up with everything new and constantly keep learning and all that kind of stuff. It's a hard industry.
And you know, especially when I was going through sort of the whole journey, there weren't that many tools that we had to know. You know, we had to know how to draw, we know how to design, but as long as we know how to do at least Photoshop, that was pretty prevalent, right? It was enough. But now it seems that list is like, it's so long, you know. But I feel like sometimes it's also this viewpoint that some of us might have about, well, oh man, if you know, if they're learning it and you know I need to learn it, there might be some kind of like FOMO, I guess, as like a better word to say it, you know. Yeah. But often, oh sorry, yeah, someone go ahead. Okay.
FOMO meaning fear of missing out for anyone.
Yeah, fear of missing out. Like, because I remember when like there was a time I had this one student in my mentorship group, and they were actually really, really good, but their skills were like, it's kind of like being an MMO character where you have like 5 stats, where you can't like build one really strong, like everything's kind of low. So they're actually really good, but everything was dispersed in a way where it didn't reach its heights. So once we like reduced some of the tools, reduced some of the focus, it got so much better. Less is more type of idea, and that was kind of one of those interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a smack in the face for me too, even taking your art and business class, because I think I still like very early into like my journey into concept art and getting used to it. But I remember showing you some of the work that I did like after having taken Gemma's class, and I'd gone from like Unreal Engine to Blender to Marvel's Designer to something else, and it took me like 5 days to make this one image.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something to the effect of, you're asking like, do you know who Ryan? I'm gonna pronounce his last name wrong. Minerding?
Yeah, Ryan Minerding. Uh-huh.
Yeah. You're like, do you know who that is? And I was like, yeah, I sort of do. And he was like, yeah, he would do 9 of these in one day. And I was like, oh shit. And I think you totally realize that like it can look cool on ArtStation to have like 7 different types of software on the description, but it's not efficient. And once you lower it, you can get a lot better and stuff. So
absolutely, man. There's like the craft that we learn in school, and then there's the stuff that really makes it work, and oftentimes those are like kind of different conversations, different things. Yeah, that's interesting. That's cool. I like how that story resonated.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, so much stuff in that class.
That's awesome.
But that one definitely.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, we're getting mighty close to wrapping this guy up. I'm gonna probably just put a new layer on top and just touch up random things like a rock on the ground or something. But this has been a good episode. A good meetup this week. It's like good talks, good flow. Thanks for everyone joining on mic. Thanks for everyone joining just in general. I also have to kind of like give a shout out to everybody like that's here, because it would feel really different if there was no one here and I was doing this, So thank you everybody. It's cool.
Thank you.
Here we go. Let's see. What else do I need to do to wrap this up a little bit? Let me see here. But yeah, we'll do another episode next week. We'll talk about stuff. Same. But yeah, I mean, this platform right now that we're kind of doing it on, where we're doing YouTube and just kind of using Discord, I feel like it works okay. I might try it again and just keep seeing how it goes. But yeah. So let's see here.
I have feedback for that.
5 more minutes.
Comment is YouTube is forever. Discord may not.
So very insightful. Yes.
I really think like if you record something, even if you don't participate a lot, James, the recordings will literally be here like 2 decades from now.
Yeah, that's true.
So
plus you can get paid.
Oh yeah, let's bring it in. Let's bring it in. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's funny.
Let's bring in the money, guys. No, I'm playing.
Ad revenue.
Let's get a big like party reunion. We can just like all meet up and just have it be on the dollar. Just meet up.
Do you remember Livestream.com?
Yeah, right.
So there was an arena that concept artist Thomas something. And that's the one comment I was going to just say is like YouTube is forever. And the second live stream went down, he had one of the best. He had like 300 hours of live streams that he just like it went away.
Oh, good
So,
point,
like,
man.
I would really say, yeah, just turn on YouTube. People, kids, decades from now, later, might not find you this week, but we'll appreciate it.
Appreciate that bit of encouragement there. I feel like this one lizard's head, his head needs to get like popped a bit. Needs a little bit of more value. See that nose right here? Just needs a little bit more pump. Something. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Zoom out. We'll see. You know what's funny? Every time I end the live stream and I'm like, okay, the piece is at a good spot, and then I walk away, the moment I come back, I'm like, oh, I want to change this. You know, do you guys have that? It's pretty funny. Yeah. It's one of those
Total
things.
crap.
One of those things, you know.
Sometimes it's also a good exercise in restraint, though, to just move on to the next one and try to take the lesson with you.
That is true. It's tough, you know. It's tough. All right, everybody. Well, I really appreciate it once again. Thanks for joining this week. We'll do another one again as next week. So we'll catch you on the next one, everybody. All right. Thanks again.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.